It was in December the governor petitioned the Supreme Court to issue a declaratory judgment.
She was originally asking, for a determination as to whether the courts couldn't, interfere with her quarantine powers under the Organic Act.
But last week, the governor took it a step further.
Now, in one of her reply briefs, she's stated that the two sections of the health emergency law are inorganic.
In 2003, the Emergency Health Powers Act was signed into law by the governor at the time, Carl Gutierrez. The bill was authored by then Senator and also now a former governor, Eddie Baza-Calvo. According to Speaker Therese Terlahi, Governor Lulian Guerrero is now taking specific issue with two provisions in the local law.
And those are the isolation and quarantine sections, the sections that lay out all the details of how, you have a right to go to court, you have a right to, argue that you should be let out of quarantine.
As we've been reporting, there have been cases after cases heard in Superior Court challenging the order for all incoming travelers to be subject to quarantine in the government quarantine facility, with the majority of the court's rulings in favor of petitioners. In the governor's filing, she takes issue with the rulings and the court's ignoring of CDC guidelines in the application of quarantine, citing as examples CDC's endorsement of a 14-day quarantine and the power that local public health authorities have in determining and establishing quarantine options in their respective jurisdictions. According to Speaker Terlahi, the Supreme Court invited the legislature to provide a brief now that their powers have also been called into question.
The question is, does the legislature have a power to enact these laws regarding quarantine, or is it the governor's quarantine powers under the Organic Act, blanket, sole power?
According to the Organic Act, it states, quote, subject to the laws of Guam, the governor shall establish, maintain, and operate public health services in Guam, including hospitals, dispensaries, and quarantine stations at such places in Guam as may be necessary, and he shall promulgate quarantine and sanitary regulations for the protection of Guam against the importation and spread of disease.
On first glance, the Organic Act says subject to the laws of Guam. So, like with many things in healthcare and other parts of the government, while the governor has great powers, she is still subject to the laws of Guam. And so that's what this case is going to be about, is whether these statutes outlining the process are inorganic or not.
A status hearing before the Supreme Court on the governor's request for declaratory judgment is now scheduled for April 23rd.